2nd, 2021. Joined today with Sylvain and Xander. Thanks so much for spending some time with us this morning. I wanted to give a quick shout out to our friend of Add-ons, Risha Sharma. So Risha has been working as an outreachy intern with us for the last 6 weeks. She's been working on a project to help improve how add-ons behave in container tabs. And she's just finishing up her project. She's hoping to continue contributing and to the project going forward. So there were a couple of things like, there were some UI stuff that didn't quite get implemented on this round, which is fine because she did the technical work underlying it. But if you want to learn more about her presentations, we voluntold her to come and present at last week's Add-ons show and tell. So you can check out her presentation in the recording listed below. And just want to give her a shout out. Thanks, Risha. All right, and so in the discussion section, just a couple of things. So it's the Firefox 87 release day. We didn't have a lot of major changes for add-on developers. The only thing that is kind of affecting folks is that native messaging is now an optional permission. So it's still going to trigger a warning, like an advisory notice to users, but just as an FYI, it's now an optional permission. So let's see, that means that 88 is now in beta and 89 is now in nightly. 89 is going to be shipping with a couple of UI changes. So just keep your heads up. Those are going to be landing. If not today, you'll start seeing some updates in that if you're running nightly in the next couple of weeks. So what we're doing now is when we've got just like small changes like the native messaging moving to optional permissions, is we're no longer doing full blog posts per release just because the number of things that are actually landing that are kind of like developer or user facing is lower now. We're adding them to the MDN developer notes. So I put a link in there. You can check by release. I'm trying to keep an eye on those to make sure that updates get in. So just as an FYI, like stuff like bug fixes or like things that are kind of smallish are going to show up in the developer notes and not on the blog anymore. It just keeps it kind of like short and quick. And so I'm going to try to find some other places to advertise that so that add-on developers kind of know where to look. The other thing I want to note is that FTP is going to be removed from Firefox starting with Firefox 90. So we've got a couple of things that are happening on the Web Extensions API front, and I have to go double check my notes to see what those changes are going to be. I think I've linked to a meta bug about this. Yeah, I've linked to a meta bug about this in Bugzilla. So just keep your eyes open. I don't think this is going to affect too many people, but if we see that folks are using some things that relate to FTP and their extensions, we'll be doing some outreach to kind of guide them in the right direction. Hey, Siobhan, nice to see you. Yay. And then on the add-ons front, we have a couple of new recommended extensions, Tab Session Manager, Pocket Tube, I don't care about cookies, and custom scroll bars. So thanks, Sylvain. I know he's on our recommended extensions advisory board. So thanks for making your recommendations. Sylvain, do you have anything you want to say about any of those add-ons?
Sure. It's very awesome that those made the list. They are all great add-ons, by the way. I could say a couple of notes regarding the review of the recommended extensions. We see some of the times, we understand that one great thing about web extensions for the past years now is that people can just take their extension that they developed for Firefox, for example, and put it on Chrome and on the Chrome store, and same for Edge now. One thing that needs to be addressed, though, is that some of the times people just take the exact same extension and publish it on the store. on another store, which is fine for feature-wise. Most of the time it works great, but sometimes people keep the name of the browser into their extensions. So it will say my extension for Chrome into the Firefox store, which is not that great. It's just a simple find and replace most of the time to change those browser names from one to the other. And just a heads up, if you're trying to do this and upload it on the Edge store, you'll get rejected if you have any mention of Firefox or Chrome into your Edge add-on. So just a thing to think about.
That is really helpful to know. So, so Edge will reject submissions if the incorrect browser is referenced.
The website on Chrome, and yeah, you'll get rejected.
Okay, that's good to know. How have you, sorry, this is like a tangent. Have you submitted extensions to Edge?
Multiples, yeah.
How's the process?
Quite simple, by the way. Yeah, they ask a couple of questions for the reviewers regarding permissions, which is quite nice. So they will ask you to explain in details why are you asking for every single permission that your extension needs to. And you'll get rejected if it doesn't make sense. Besides that, yeah, it's basically like a form where you submit your privacy policy URL, and it's similar to the other stores, to AMO and Chrome. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, if there's anything that is particularly great about the Edge extension process that we could implement on AMO, that would, can't guarantee we can get it done, but definitely interested in.
I think to explain why you're using those certain permission can help reviewers for sure. I can understand why they are doing it. It's neat. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. All right. And so I think it was last week, but it might have been 2 weeks ago. My sense of time has just vanished. But on March 11th, Philip Andreas and I hosted a session at MozFest around how to design a great user consent experience in extensions. And this was really developer focused or like product management focused if you're working on an extension that collects or manages any user data. So we have a recording of that session available. It was a really small, intimate session. I think it went pretty well. There's probably everyone on this call is really familiar with the AMO extension policies. But what we really tried to do is we tried to create an interactive session where folks could kind of like get a better understanding of Mozilla's overarching view of data management and collection, how the AMO policies support that overarching mission. And then we actually took a look at some of the things that extensions can do in the wild. And we talked about how to create a user opt-in flow that best addresses the kind of data that a particular extension is using. So the MozFest recording is going to be available for, I think, 60 or 90 days, which is how long the participants agreed to be shown in the recording. So I'm going to see if I can get a copy of it that we can kind of put up somewhere or just have in our archives, because I think it was helpful. I know for me, I struggle with big walls of text when like learning something, which is not great because everything we do involves big walls of text. But I'm hoping that we can replicate something like this that we can just kind of have as a developer tool and resource for folks who are, in the process of building their extensions and want to do something about data. So we'll see how that turns out. I'm still kind of in the ideation phase. But yeah, so the recording is available if you want to check it out. It's about an hour long. Hopefully it was edited to cut out some of our breakout room time. So hopefully it'll take less than an hour to watch. And then all of the MozFest sessions that were recorded. So MozFest facilitators had a choice about whether or not they wanted to record the session. So everybody who had chosen to record a session, those recordings should be uploaded now on Air Mozilla. And the other thing is that if you go to the MozFest Plaza, which I think you can do even if you didn't get a MozFest ticket, is you can kind of check the schedule on a session by session basis, and you can sort the sessions in a couple of different ways. And if the session was recorded, it should show up on the sessions page on the MozFest Plaza. So if you want to hunt around, if something looks interesting to you, I definitely recommend checking it out. MozFest has really fabulous stuff, and especially if you're interested in AI, this year had some pretty interesting sessions about it. So totally recommend it. Oh no, Shivam is not, okay, I just got a note on the Google Doc. Shivam says he's not able to see the recording on the webpage. That is a super bummer because it was there when I saw it this morning. It's embedded as a YouTube. Let me see if I can, here, I'll copy the link. It's possible, Shivam has also asked me to log in. It's possible that you need to log in.
I've put the YouTube link in the chat.
Yeah, try the YouTube link and see if that works. Okay, awesome. Any questions about MozFest? Okay, good stuff. So the last thing that I wanted to kind of bring up today was, so MDN documentation has kind of gone through a couple of shifts in the last year and a half. So we used to have a part-time documentation contractor who would kind of help corral and manage the technical information on MDN for extensions. And because of budgetary constraints, we weren't able to renew his contract. So I've kind of picked up the pieces, but as a non-technical person, this is an area that I definitely struggle in. And so there's a new MDN process for like triaging issues that come into the web extensions kind of domain. And then, and then there's a whole separate, and then there's a new GitHub based flow for updating the documentation itself. So I just wanted to put it out there that the issues that I've seen come in recently have mostly been about inaccuracies in the Chrome documentation that lives on MDN. So I have a to-do item to talk to our representative on the Browser Alliance and see if we can get see what our relationship with the Chrome folks is at this time, and see if maybe Chrome can handle making sure their information is updated. For the moment, I've labeled those issues as help wanted. Most of the time, in the two issues that are labeled help wanted, the correct stuff is linked in the issue. And so somebody just needs to come in and update it. And so this is where the wall of text problem comes in, because when making those updates, I looked at this giant wall of text and I was like, oh my God. And I don't know if that's just me or if other people struggle with that too. So one of the things I'm thinking about doing is making kind of like a different version of the docs to update the web extensions stuff on MDN to make it maybe a little less wall of texty. I just wanted to throw that out there. I'm not sure how useful that is or if anyone is even interested, but kind of asking some people, like asking the community to help maintain some of the documentation, I think would be super helpful, because a lot of the times the developers have like some, working knowledge of the code that some of the community managers may not necessarily have. I guess I didn't have a question at that point. I just wanted to I just wanted to put that out there and see if anyone has any thoughts or feedback about content on MDN or just our documentation in general. I know it's a jungle out there.
It's wild, hard to find anything.
Yeah, okay. That's not great. Okay, so
Kathleen, are you doing something on SEO of Extension Workshop?
Yeah, so Extension Workshop, I have to go back and check in the SEO. I think it's been getting a little bit better, but
yeah, it's getting better slowly.
I think one of the things that I was just thinking about was that we still aren't doing a very good job of helping people know what information is on MDN and what information is on Extension Workshop. And it also doesn't help that not everything has fully migrated off of MDN onto Extension Workshop that needs to. Like, I think we have a couple of things about like, how do you number your extension releases in a way that AMO can read and understand? Like, I think that's still on MDN. So I'm probably due for another triage to look at that, but we probably need to start being a little bit more proactive about telling people where to find the information.
So can we migrate whole extension docs to Extension Workshop? Is it not possible? Like, because in internal tooling of Firefox, we are migrating whole documentation from MDN to Firefox docs.
Yeah, so the thing is that Extension Workshop wasn't designed to support the browser compatibility tables. So the idea was that everything that you could make an argument was applied to cross-browser compatibility stayed on MDN, and everything Firefox specific, including AMO, moved to Extension Workshop. So if we were going to move everything over to Extension Workshop, we would definitely need like more engineering support on on getting some of the functionality of MDN onto Extension Workshop, which doesn't currently exist. But it's not, at this point, like, I'm not ruling anything out. It's just that like the API reference documentation. Yeah, so maybe. The answer is maybe.
Yeah, because I think Stuart added a blog for tables. I'm not too sure. I have to check on GitHub repository, but I guess he added a component for tables.
Yeah. Okay, so possible to move. Okay, I'm just taking some notes. The other thing I wanted to say about that was I don't think I've ever really done any explaining to any contributor community about how to update documentation on Extension Workshop. I don't think the README explains it terribly well. I know Shivam has been an awesome member to people who pop into those issues and helping them get going. So I'm just going to add that to my to-do list as well. By the way, thanks, Shivam.
No worries.
So yeah, so those were all of my updates for today. Does anyone have any questions, comments, or would like to share what they've been working on recently in the extensions world? Okay, very good. Well, then we'll wrap it up. Keep it short today. Thanks everybody for joining. I hope you all have a great week, and I will see you on the internet.
Thank you. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.